Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all participants joining us today. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to this important session on artificial intelligence and marginalized communities, organized under the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice in collaboration with Blue Ocean Insights Private Limited. As we navigate an increasingly digital world, artificial intelligence is transforming key sectors such as healthcare, uh, education, employment, and governance. However, alongside these advancements, it is essential to critically examine issues of equity, inclusion, and social justice, particularly in relation to marginalized communities who may be disproportionately affected by technological systems. Today, we are truly honored to have with us Dr. Dilip Fernando, a distinguished academic and researcher, currently serving as a lecturer at the Singapore University of Technology and Design. Dr. Fernando brings with him a strong academic and research background in technology, innovation, and digital systems, with a particular focus on how emerging technologies influence real-world societal outcomes. His work reflects a deep understanding of the intersection between artificial intelligence, data-driven decision-making, and inclusive development, making him exceptionally well positioned to guide today's discussion. Through his academic contributions and international exposure, he has been actively engaged in exploring how technology can be leveraged responsibly while addressing ethical concerns such as algorithmic bias, data justice, and digital inclusion. Today's session will not only explore the opportunities presented by AI, but also critically examine the challenges it poses in reinforcing or reducing social inequalities. We are confident that this session will provide you with valuable insights and inspire you to think more critically about the role of technology in shaping just an inclusive society. So, I would like to invite Dr. Dilip to start the session.
Thank you so much, Mr. Madhura and Blue Ocean Insights team for inviting me for this session. It's a great honor, and I'm very happy to see the motivation of the attendees. So I believe that we'll be able to gain the best out of this. Uh, yeah, something to say off the record before starting the discussion. I'll call it a discussion. So we will interact throughout the session. Uh, you know that we all are very passionate about research. And when we do research, you all know there are certain barriers like time barrier, technology, knowledge, money, and whatnot. And according to these barriers, we all are some kind of marginalized. Like we also belong to uh, different marginalized communities. When it comes to AI, that's even severe because everyone is using AI, but no one is knowing exactly like what happens inside. So we tend to think that we don't belong into this community, and it's very hard to contribute to AI. We should know very deep coding, deep math. So we have this feeling. So goal of today's talk is to make sure that uh, we will be very familiar with AI, not the math part, but the impacts of AI. So that will motivate you to define your research questions with AI related uh, domains. Okay, so let's start. Let's start this. Okay, I'll start with the question first. Can you um, can you think of uh, a scenario, uh, an AI that helped you What are the scenarios usually you get help from AI? I see some answers in the chat. This will be highly interactive. What are the common uses of AI that you think of and you are involved in? Documentation, yeah, very good. You know what? I'm also heavily using AI for documentation. Anything else? Any other interesting use cases? Research? Okay. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. We have yeah, since as researchers, we use this for documentation purposes, knowledge finding purposes. Uh, okay. And when it comes to all the communities, the main uses of AI can be used in can be seen in different domains. One is translation, AI translation. Uh, I remember when we traveled to different countries, maybe 10 years before, it was very hard to communicate with the local people. But when I traveled to these countries in last few years, everyone is using translate apps. So that reduced the barrier between people. So thanks to AI translation, and also people may not be very well versed with technology. They don't know how to use Word. They don't know how to use the computer. But chat interface had made them easy. So AI is expanding access to the digital services. And also credit scoring is one of the case studies that we are looking at today. Uh, Also relies on AI for some extent, and also assistive AI for disabilities. Uh, Differently able people are guided with AI related solutions. For example, AI guidance, AI related guidance, AI related uh, maybe if you can't see, AIs can describe the world to you. So these are just some of the use cases. This is not an exhaustive list, but you get the idea that AI has can be seen in all parts of our lives. Okay, and AI is not only being a use case, but it makes decisions on behalf of you, and very serious decisions like taking loans, approving loans, hiring people, and maybe deciding the insurance premium, education, like education, sometimes the grading, for some extent, grading can be automated. So that's a decision. And in this case, AI shapes opportunities because making decisions on behalf of you is an opportunity to make your life easier, and then you can do more things without relying on or without being disturbed by the complexity of information technology. Right. Now let's look at a scenario. This is the case study for today. Let's see, we are using a AI related application to approve a loan. So the AI related application just check the context of the applicant and then decides whether the applicant's loan should be approved or not. Okay. So example, let's say traditionally privileged context. This guy can be expected to be approved by any loan manager. So traditionally privileged context, like he has a stable salary, long banking history, credit card usage, formally financial records. Anyone can say that like this guy will definitely get his loan approved. And AI also sees the same pattern. because it's a frequent pattern that people with salaried job long back in history are accepted. So AI has no issues with that. And there's another applicant who does not have many documentation details. He doesn't have credit history, and mainly not a formal income. Payments are also maybe mobile payments, mainly digital transaction data. That means the records are minimal. But still, the AI can identify that this person is also worthy of getting a loan. And why it happens? The AI can relate this data to the real conditions, real constraints that are considered to define the credit worthiness. So that's how AI reduces digital divide. Before AI came into the picture, this person could not prove his credit worthiness because there's no way to prove that, because usual system only relies on certain set of rules. But AI can think, AI can reason beyond the set of rules. It can learn rules. So that's how a community which was divided, which was cornered, later favored by AI, which is great, which is a desirable outcome. Now let's see another applicant. This applicant is historically marginalized. What does this mean? This person has an irregular income, limited financial history, and he's also from an underrepresented community. And underrepresented means it doesn't say that this person is not credit worthy, but for some reason, all the data points that the AI sees were not approved for the credit worthiness. So I think that due to this pattern, AI infers that there's a high risk, but that's not the case. The reason is that we don't have much data, and the limited data reflects a negative pattern. So AI rejects it. Now, some communities are rejected due to their misrepresentation. So the same AI favored one community, and uh, it worked badly, negatively to another community. Now you can see there's an issue. It's like a double-edged sword. It can be used for betterment of the society, betterment of uh, marginalized communities, but at the same time, some communities can be marginalized even more. Right. Now to summarize, applicant A is approved, applicant B approved using alternative data, which is very positive outcome, and applicant C rejected, which is a negative outcome, which which is something that we need to investigate. Right. Now I ask this question. Now you see there's a positive and there's a negative. And my question is, should AI evaluate loan applications at all? Should they have something like that? I hope you hear the question. Maybe we can have some round of answers. Should AI evaluate loan applications at all? Because it seems like AI is uh, not fair to some people. I mean, if it's not fair to some people, then we should not rely on it, right? Or can we design it in a way that it can be fairer towards all communities? I think this is the way that we should move forward. if we get rid of the AI applications, the digital development, then we are going back into the past. Everything depends on the digital infrastructure. So that means we cannot ban AI. We cannot ban IT systems, but we can try to improve them. So that's why we need to explore. We need to explore problems and we need to explore the solutions. Right. So let's get into more detail because we need to know some formal definitions before going into detail. What is AI? What are marginalized communities? Then we can dive into some detailed applications, detailed level of negative impacts, detailed level of positive impacts. Okay. Okay. We all know what's AI. We all hear about it, but let me share uh, my perception. AI learns from data, not like learning, not like a human, but it has its own method. It has an algorithm, and learning from data is it sees patterns. It sees patterns, and then when it sees patterns, it it will do some calculation to see that if I see this pattern, I will make this decision. For example, a pattern is some person having a long credit history, a long banking history. And the AI sees that in many examples, the person with a long banking history is approved for credit worthiness. And AI also sees that a person who does not have a stable income is, is denied, is denied loans. But also AI sees some pattern that some people who do not have stable income still have some good assets. Then the AI infers that if people with good assets have loans approved, why don't I approve the loan from this other person who does not, who has good asset valuation? That's finding patterns. We don't teach it the rules, but it finds the rules, it finds patterns, and based on these patterns, it makes a decision, it makes the prediction. And this is the pipeline. You see the data, and then AI is modeling these patterns. Based on these patterns, it makes the decision. Now, what are marginalized communities? This is my version. We can have very broad type of definition here. Usually, groups facing systematic barriers. It's like the group can be very capable, but they have a barrier for accessing things. They lack the opportunities. We can have barriers in different contexts, economic context, and geographic context. Like for example, when people live in an area which is highly affected by severe weather, they have a geographic issue. And if people does not have financial stability, that's an economic issue. And if the people do not know languages to communicate, that's another issue. Disabled people, all these categories, you can see that they have limited access to some functions, because for all these functions, these different aspects plays a big role. Right. Now, uh, getting into more deeper, I see some questions as well. I'm going to explain it along the line. But first, let's start with the digital divide, because the part that we focus on is uh, we need to admit this: our systems are being digitalized. We are having an IT infrastructure that we need to admit, regardless of the country you are living in. Everything is going towards digitalization. But due to digitalization, since world is moving towards digitalization, the main marginalization is digital divide. The whole world is digital. Now, the main aspect of marginalization is digital divide. The people get access to digital resources, and people do not get access to digital resources. So, in my view, this is the main divide. Why? Knowledge is based on digital. You will always have some videos, Zoom, learning management system. Knowledge depends on digitization, and banking depends on digitalization. You are doing some ATM access, and even some things like cooking. You need to have some computing knowledge. You are working with automatic machines. Now the real problem is digital divide, and digital divide can occur in three ways. It can be access divide, because there can be an issue with the availability of the digital. If your country, if your city does not have internet connection, that's an access divide. And skill divide as well. Some people have more skills of using computers, and some people are not exposed to it. Then it's a skill divide. And benefit divide is also there can be computer systems implemented, but everyone is not benefited fairly. Only some part of the community, only some uh, sub part in the world population get this benefit. So this is the real divide. As I can see, in the modern world, the main marginalization is digital divide. Now, AI coming to the rescue. On top of the IT systems, the real IT systems needed people with IT literacy. Now, AI is coming to the rescue and tries to reduce this divide by introducing automation. Automation was already there in regular IT systems, but AI tries to do more automation. AI is doing work on behalf of you, that is automation. Then user friendliness. Even if a person using a computer, the person may feel a little bit unfamiliar. But with AI technology, you can use it more familiar. You can make it closer to the person, closer to the user, and also personalized. User friendliness can be common to all the people, but personalized is it will work according to your needs. If you are a slow learner, AI will adapt for your pace. Or if you are a fast learner, AI will also adapt to your pace. That is called personalization. So this is how AI is reducing digital divide. Let's dive deep into this. Automation. So what is automation? Example, translation is an automation task. Sometimes people had to do the translation on their own. But with AI coming into the picture, Google Translator, for example, it uses AI technology for translation. Now we don't need to think ourselves to maybe do English communication. You can still communicate in your local language, but AI is doing that hard part for you. That is more than a simple IT system. Summarization. I heard this answer from one of you. We have a long research paper to read, but we need time. Time is money, right? If we can save time by using an AI to summarize it, and if we can trust AI, then it's a very good deal. So we are using IT systems. Yes, we are using your computer to read the research paper, but AI helps you to summarize it. That's how AI is coming as a middleman to reduce the divide, reduce the distance between you and your computer. That's what AI is helping for. Finally, you have co-pilots. If you are not very familiar with coding, there are co-pilot applications which can recommend code for you, which is another interesting finding and mostly used not just in layman but also in software companies. People who know to code also use Copilot to save time, to save money. Now, let's think about user friendliness. In terms of user friendliness, chat interface is a very, very good example. Earlier days, you had to go through all the menus. You need to do drag and drop. You need to go to one menu. You needed to go to another menu. Using an IT system was a tedious task. You need to learn it before using it. There's a steep learning curve. But with AI, you just write your question in the chat and AI will do it for you. If you need to find, let's say, uh, your bank balance, you don't need to go through all the menus. You ask the chat application in your bank, give me my bank balance. It can do it for you. It understands you. That's how it becomes user friendly. Let's say some elderly person does not know how to navigate through these menus, but chat interface, the person can just type in. If person is lazy to type, the person can use, yes, chat interface, natural language queries, and guided workflows, and we can have voice assistant as well. If you are lazy to type, you can use voice assistant. Just utter these words. I need to know my bank balance. Then it will understand our speech, our words, and then it will do everything for you. This is user friendliness. This is something beyond just automation. Beyond a simple IT system, AI is understanding us. So that is a value addition, which again helps to reduce the digital divide. I hope you are currently in sync with this. I'm talking about the IT infrastructure and the digitalization of the world. And the main division in the world is the digital divide, access to digital equipment, access to IT, and how AI bridges this gap. AI automates many things. AI provides user friendliness. AI uh, reduces the dependency of these navigation structures and these menus and the steep learning curve you need to use an IT system. Finally, personalization. This is an even more complex in the AI sense, but very easy in the user sense. Personalize one to one. A voice assistant may help everyone in the same way, but personalized means it will understand you and it will change, dynamically change due to your expectations. You don't even need to tell. With the way you communicate with the AI, it will realize that you are this type of person. When you write the chat queries, AI will infer that you are a fast learner or you are a slow learner. Then AI will adapt. That's called personalized learning. And now I we don't even need to tell AI what I need. AI will read your mind in a way. And that's why we have assistive tools to many things, not just learning. Doctors have assistive tools, lawyers have assistive tools. They're kind of personalized to different people for different communities, different job roles. And when it comes to language, in the earlier case, we had translators, then we had voice assistants. Now, personalization, we have dialect support as well. For the same language, the AI learns different dialects and it can support different versions of the same language. AI has become more advanced. Uh, Before moving into the next part, let me see, there was a question. The story of the three loan applicants. Why was applicancy rejected due to learned patterns? What does that mean in practice? Okay, let me go bit deeper into this. In the application B scenario, there was a pattern which helped to correlate this person with credit worthy features. This person already had some positive things, like he had a job, he had an income. A job was not stable, but he had digital transaction records. So in the rules, there's no rule saying that if you have digital transaction records, you should be approved for the loan. But the AI sees this correlation when it analyzes data. Then it correlates the digital transactions and the different ownership assets to some other aspects of the creditworthy people. That's how applicant B is getting a positive creditworthy score. In contrast, applicant C is sadly is a part of an underrepresented community. That means we don't have much data. We have very smaller amount of data. And to be unfortunately, these small data are also biased. Let's say we have only 10 data points from one underrepresented community, and all these data points are considered as denied. And these 10 data points are not sufficient to correlate with some positive pattern. And you see this. Digital transactions could be correlated to some positive patterns because there was data, enough data. When we have enough data, you can correlate. But in applicant C's case, it's an underrepresented community, so AI did not have enough data to correlate it with a positive pattern. Then that's why the issue arose. That's why a benign application was rejected. Yeah. And I have another question here. Digital divide here is close to work of manual castles. Work of. Can you elaborate on this, please? Data reading also depicts the risk associated in a modern society with data privacy and algorithm. Yes, it's true. It's true. Data privacy is another issue. We're not going into detail today, but it's another significant issue. Okay, thank you for the questions. So let me dive into the next part. Right. Now you can see why this has become a double edge. When it is depending on data, if data is well represented, yes, you can go towards some actual patterns, legitimate patterns. But if your data is not, if it does not reflect the actual distributions, or if your distribution changes over time, then the prediction is not going to be correct. And also, the data inherently includes some assumptions because data is nothing but you collect from people. So the data reflects the people's thinking. If you collect data from Wikipedia, Wikipedia is written by people. If you collect source data from newspapers, newspaper is written by people. So when people have some assumption, the data reflects it. So the conclusion here is AI helps people, but also due to the gaps of data, due to the dynamics of data, AI can also work in the other direction, in a negative direction. So let's dive deeper into credit scoring again. So we'll be doing this in three phases. So we started introducing the problem in a surface level. Now we are moving into some detailed level. So let's see what AI credit scoring benefits. Alternative data improves inclusion. A rule-based version does not have all the data. If if you are not covered in the protocol, if you are not covered in the rule defined by the bank, you will not get a good credit scoring. But AI helps you to correlate your existing data towards the rules. It will help you to prove that you are also worthy. So that is a very big benefit. And workers gain access because workers who don't have like 8 to 5 job, like stable job, when they are self-employed, they can show that at least AI will infer that they are worthy of credit, because deep down the credit worthiness is not a function of stable job. It has some latent set of concepts, parameters that it depends on. So what it does is, in the AI, it will map the stable job people and self-income people to the same proximity. Then it will learn the real features, the real characteristics to define creditworthiness. And this real characteristic does not come from the rules. It will come from a very latent feature, so that it will not only cover the people who are approved due to rules, but also it will cover other people who have the potential. And due to this, the approvals are very fast, because people may not need to go through this by bureaucracy. They don't need to prove by using several documents. So approvals are fast, good for the bank, good for the people. Right. Now, on the other hand, the bias, historical inequality in data, which is something we cannot avoid. Some communities, let's say, for some cities, the digitalization came later. And in these cities, may be some communities. So there's an inherent lack of data from those communities. And proxy variables, the set of variables that I mentioned, are proxy variables. If they are learned with limited data or data in a wrong probability distribution, then the learned variables are wrong. They don't make sense. Then feedback loops. If there are different, uh, if there is wrong prediction is reinforced again and again, then credit scoring system is going towards a negative wrong direction. So this is the bias. Now you can see it's the uh, same technology, but can go either way. To move away from this credit scoring, I think we are a bit bored of hearing the credit stories. I will mention something we all can relate to. In the credit scoring also, the AI tends to learn some frequently uh, occurring patterns. That's how it does credit scoring as well. To generalize this, when it sees data, for example, when it sees images, when it sees text, word sentences, it tries to infer some patterns. For example, the kin and man, there's a relationship between kin and man. And then if you subtract the relationship between kin and man and add the woman, what we expect is if kin is for man, what is the role for woman? So we expect that it is queen and it can learn it. This really works. But the problem occurs when we go into detail. Usually, when we ask for, if we query an AI or a system which represents the words, usually it's biased towards the social assumptions. If we ask, give me a man job, it says programmer, doctor. If we ask, give me a woman job, it says homemaker. Because data itself is biased. Because long ago, we may have a high probability of finding women who are homemakers, finding men who are doctors. Then, since there is a bias in the data, the stereotypes, it learns according to the given probability distribution. But now it's a different probability distribution and different way of thinking. The world has changed. World has been liberalized. World has been fair to all the communities. So we don't have this unfair treatment anymore. But AI may not be updated. AI may still rely on the old data. That's how, again, the same thing. AI must learn patterns, but if it learns uh, meaningless stereotypes, which are just uh, relating to some some time window or some historical period, that will not help us. That means not all the patterns help us. Only the patterns which are fair and which are uh, correct are useful. To give you more details about this word mapping, can you see? Usually, what we do in AI for processing is all these are letters. Computer cannot process letters. Computer process only numbers. We need to convert everything into a number. In simple words, a vector. And when you visualize these vectors, you can see that some relationships are very similar. King and queen, man and woman. It's a similar relationship. Walked, walking. Change of tense. Swam, swimming. Change of tense. You can see Canada, Ottawa. Country and the capital. Spain, Madrid. Country and the capital. So you can see this is what we expect, and the expectation is most of the times right. But the problem is sometimes it does not work like that. If we relate man to the doctor, woman is not related to the lady doctor. Woman is related to nurse. Why? The AI is learning from the data it has. If the data it has a bias of men being doctors, women being nurses, then it infers that pattern. Your AI is as good as your data. And this is the exact thing I mentioned. Historical data, language stereotypes, representation gaps, deployment context. If historical data are biased, it's a problem. Language stereotypes. There can be some language. For example, in some languages, there are nouns which have feminine version and masculine version. Certain nouns. I mean, it's not personal. Like let's say we say mother and father, they are people, but in some languages, uh, there can be things like let's say water bottle. There's a feminine word for water bottle and there's a masculine word for water bottle. So it's a language usage of feminine and masculine. So when we train something, when we learn something from that type of language, the gender distribution becomes different. It's a stereotype in the language. Representation gaps is also there. due to digital divide. Some communities are not in the data set because they don't have access, and the data collector did not reach this community. Deployment context can also be biased when the AI is deployed. Deployed means someone is there to use it, a company or school or a home. So the place where it is used also part of the bias. Maybe the data, the AI is developed for some type of data, but you deploy it in a place where you see different types of data. Let's say you train it to identify monkeys and you deploy it to identify human. Doesn't work. Different settings. So for different settings also, you'd expect biased answers. Now we are coming into a very important part. Now I took you through the benefits of AI towards digital divide, towards reducing digital divide, and shortcomings of AI, where it introduces issues to reinforce digital divide. But what is our main goal? Our main goal is, what can we do with this? It's not just learning. We need to do something. We need to do an impact. And as a starting point, let's say what are the questions we already asked and tried to answer. So we asked, should AI decide on the loans? We asked, uh, who benefits on the AI? And does AI really reduce inequality? I mean, we have both answers. We see examples, but like, it's still an open question, right? We don't have a black and white answer. Should AI learn stereotypes? AI must learn patterns. So stereotype is also a pattern. So that's a problem. Like, can we stop AI from learning stereotypes and expect it to uh, be successful in its predictions? Now, many questions, and there's no real answer. They are open questions. That's what decides research. Any open question that we cannot answer, we say it depends. When we say it depends, that means, yeah, it's an open question. That means it can be converted into a research question. And now I'm going to explain the research landscape of AI and its relationship to digital divide. One part is AI expanding access. I already mentioned this. AI is used for education, healthcare, banking. So AI is expanding access. So you can see what other areas AI is expanding its access to. So this is research. What's the question? Like, where you find AI? There's a question, and you don't know exactly the answer. So it's a research question. And there's another research. When AI appears, with that, the issue of bias and fairness also appears. So you can find about that because you don't know what biases are there and what causes the biases. We don't know. And are the AI fair? All are very open questions. We can always find counterexample, but a counterexample is not sufficient to provide a well-grounded research result. I can always present you counterexamples like in this presentation. But in terms of research, we need to follow the research methodology. I hope, I believe that you got a good understanding of the research methodology during the previous sessions. So this is the time to apply it. What is the next research landscape? Measuring impact. We know where AI is used and what are the possible biases and fairness, then measure impact. Like, what are the direct consequences? What are the indirect consequences of bias and fairness? So that's another another path, another phase that you can focus on. Next one, inclusive design. Oh, can you see some real pattern? We start with a root, and then we start with a problem, and then impact, then solution. So it's a natural flow. As a researcher, you can focus on any part of this flow, or you can even start with the root and then go towards the final part, inclusive design. Now, if there's a problem with bias and fairness, and if it affects badly, if it has severe consequences towards society, you should propose we should have inclusive design. How to make this AI fairer to this community without hindering its general performance as an inclusive design. And finally, deployment and governance. If AI has some issue, inherent issue, how to manage it when we use the AI? How are you regulating it? Are there any people, does it go through some human intervention? And in which frequency you should do human intervention? That is something, another research question. No one knows how to do. You should check on different methodologies. You should ask people. So it's a research question. So this is the research landscape. And another important uh, important aspect, the research should be novel. The research problem, yeah, it should be a valid problem, but we also need to know that the area we are focusing on is something that no one did not focus on. That's why we should do some survey, but there is uh, some evidence to show that this research area is indeed novel. In AI, always there will be new users, and that means always there will be new decisions. People are designing AI for decision in different domains. Even at this moment, at this second, many people are designing AI. That means if you have new users and new decisions, there will be new data and new biases. This is a dynamic problem, never ending problem. Even if someone saw this problem last month, still you have an opportunity to analyze this according to a new problem. This new problem can have very different context. And to do it well, now we know that there exists a novelty, but you need to locate and define your novelty. To do that, you need to do literature survey. You must check existing work. I hope there were some workshops here for you to guide on how to read papers, research papers, how to search a good research paper, and how to identify a research gap. What is a research gap? You see the paper and you see there are some parts, some aspects are not directly addressed by this paper. Usually the paper itself mentions that. It says this is future work, these are the limitations. So you take them into consideration. Then you compare it to your problem. Let's say you are interested in medical domain. You are interested in find the AI biases in medical domain. Now you read medical domain AI papers. Then you find that there is minimal work done for nurses, and then you try to refine your problem and narrow down your exploration to nurses. Then you find that there are some AIs, but there is this challenge of deploying the AI, right? That's how you identify the gaps. And when you identify the gaps, you can refine the questions. Maybe you start your question with let's do something about medical. Then you find that you need to do something about nurses, and then you refine further, and you see that okay, it's not just about nurses, but how the ethics are managed in AI. So that's how. This is a continuous process. And finally, when you refine the questions, you already found the novelty. It may be novelty in your problem, or it may be novelty in your solution, or it may be a novelty in your final result, evaluation, or the process, the research methodology. Right. And now you know how to find the novelty, but let me elaborate a bit on uh, different research directions, because I know we all are interdisciplinary researchers. So even though we are interdisciplinary researchers, we may have some familiarity with some areas. So based on that, in the realms of AI, we have different directions. For example, first part, expanding access. Sorry. As I mentioned before, the education is having many AI-driven tasks. Students are having chat applications to learn their subject. The instructors, the lecturers design chatbots for their subject. They design it. In my university, there are many chatbots for different subjects. There are feedback systems and there are grading systems for education. So access is expanded, and that means the students who may found difficulties in learning with current learning management systems, now they have more access to data, to knowledge. Number two, multilingual AI. In the first case, the AI was only accessible to people who know English, but now AI works with other languages also. So you can use your local language to work with AI to gain knowledge. And also with the user friendliness, if you don't have a keyboard to type your local language, use your voice assistant. You talk in your local language, and your AI is translating it to your local language, which is consequently translated into English. Now you can see how AI is bringing you closer to the digital world. Accessibility also. Accessibility is like how differently able people get access to data with AI. There are many AI systems which can be controlled by differently able people. So that is something you can find out about. Financial inclusion, how people uh, can be moved towards using financial services. Some people may be rejected, like for example, for creditworthiness. But if we can use AI to give them more chance and being lenient, going beyond the set of rules, set of rigid rules, being lenient, and so that more people can be included. So this is something worth exploring on, and this list is not exhaustive. There can be other domains like medical domain, uh, maybe physics, uh, climate, climate analysis. There are many directions. And second direction, bias and fairness. You can think about bias in credit scoring as well. I showed you some papers, research results, but if you read, highly likely that you will find something which is not covered. Maybe you focus on another community which is not covered in research, and maybe you can think about a different application, not necessarily credit, but another AI biased application. Let's say scam detection. There are AIs, so you can find that whether a certain community is inherently flagged as scammers. You can find out. Stereotype learning. Yeah, this is a stereotype. Data set bias, like analyze the data set and to see whether there are uh, recurring patterns. Recurring patterns, but which does not say the reality about the application or the domain. Proxy discrimination. Again, the same thing. Same thing. The data set has a pattern which is not real, but that pattern results in discrimination. And for measure the impact, you can do user studies. You talk to the users, you talk to the bank users and ask their satisfaction. You can have a questionnaire, and the users will say that this AI system had some issues. This did not uh, understand my query. This I had to explain my query several times. You can do user study, and based on the user study, you can derive the community impact, and you can come up with your own metrics, like based on the metrics in the literature. You can do a fairness evaluation. So that's another research direction. What I'm going to highlight here is you don't have to be an AI person or even a person who knows how to code to do this research. Most of these research are based on social science. It's human type of research. You talk to people, you find surveys, you find data, you analyze. You don't even need to write a single code to uh, design AI. Not even design. You don't even need to use an AI. You can just understand, query about what AI impacts. But being an AI user definitely adds an advantage for you. And we know that AI reduce the digital divide. So that's why we all are more interested in using AI because they have become more user friendly. So it's definitely we should use AI. That's my recommendation for your research to help your research. And that's the third research direction. And next research direction, when you have measured the impacts, you can try to design an AI. And again, in this case, this seems bit more technical oriented because to design an AI, you should know the components of an AI. But maybe you can do some recommendations even without knowing the full case of AI. Maybe if you know the connectivities within AI, at least what type of data sets, and maybe you can propose that this data should be considered for training. Yeah, inclusive design is more technical, but does not say that non-technical people cannot cannot participate in this type of research. And also, I would recommend that due to this AI boom, AI development, many non-technical people have learned programming, have learned developing AI. So learning is not a big issue these days. So the barrier of knowledge has been significantly reduced by the AI itself. So I would recommend, if you really feel like you need to do inclusive design, you can learn and do. You can collaborate. You can collaborate with people who have the AI knowledge, the programming knowledge. So that's also a way to go. You can find your collaborators from this community as well. So that's another way to go. So that's why, like, if we are passionate towards something, we just need to have the passion. The knowledge, everything comes later. If you have the passion, you either acquire the knowledge or you find someone who has the knowledge, collaborate and work together. So that's about inclusive design. And finally, deployment. When you create an AI tool, you need to make it work somewhere. And how to use it. There are usability conditions, how to use it, who is going to use it. These are policies, credit, let's say credit worthiness. Who is going to use this tool and how he regulates the tool's prediction. Is he or she considering this prediction on its own, or is there uh, another regulatory process, and how transparent it is? Just because AI gives you a prediction, you should not trust AI, right? There should be a way to validate it. Another research direction, transparency, interpretability, transparency, and auditing is another research direction, like how to audit, how to analyze the historical results of the AI, the real results, and how to change the auditing existing auditing mechanisms to identify the AI biases. I'm giving you some real research questions to start with. Accountability, like who is accountable? Is there a risk management framework? Who is taking the accountability of credit trustworthiness? Or who is taking the accountability of the data set? Yeah, there are many, many research areas you can think of. And again, the type of research you can use: surveys, use studies, experiments, audits, case studies. Most of them do not require deep technical knowledge. Case studies, case study is very, very simple to start. Like start with your own domain. I know for sure that all of your domains heavily use AI. Start with your own domain, start with your own company, own school. Then you can try to expand it. And some topics to start with: AI and elder users. You can start with expanding, and then you can go towards these different phases, right? You start with expanding, and then you have bias and fairness, then measure and impact, and then design, inclusive design, and finally the deployment. So for any of these topics, you can choose at least one of the stages in the 5-stage pipeline. Fairness perception is also important, because it's not, fairness cannot be measured. Fairness is a perception, is a thought. You feel that I'm treated unfairly. This should have been done differently. So fairness is a perception. So you should be able to measure it. That's social science research. That's not technical research. That's social science research. So you can propose some things for technical people by doing this fairness perception. If you are not a technical person, but if you are a technical person, you should know that the fairness perception matters. If you need to design AI which are fair, you need to define fairness. You need to ask from people what they think about fairness. And finally, the summary and conclusion is: AI can automate, AI can bridge the digital divide, and AI can include people. People are far away from digital world. AI helps them to be closer to the digital world by introducing more automation, introducing user friendliness in working with IT systems, and introducing personalized applications. And at the same time, the inherent nature of data are reflected in AI, which results in exclusion. But as researchers, we have double opportunities. Double-edged sword means double opportunities. As researchers, this will always help to keep us occupied, which is positive side. With every problem comes an opportunity. So I hope that you are motivated to start your research journey with this buzzword AI and do a real impact to the world. I'm ending my this one-way speech right now, but I'll be available for questions. Maybe I can take some questions already. Okay. Can you explain with an example how societal assumptions create the double edge in technology decisions? Okay, there are two sides. One side is the data set. Data set. can describe the societal assumptions. Let's say if the society has some demographics, let's say we have let's say the data collector, the person who is collecting data has his own assumptions, and he is defining, maybe subconsciously defining the stratas of data according to his assumptions. So if the marginalized community is itself is marginalized in his mind, the data collector's mind, the data coming to the data collector are also marginalized. That one thing. And again, if he is crawling data from text corpus, internet, again, the internet is written by people. So the people's assumptions are in the internet. There was something I did not show you in this text embedding. We have this driver and car relationship, and when we type man, it suggests woman. It's very sexist, but that depends on the data set it was trained in. It was trained in the literature data, the fiction. So the early fiction had uh, defined some ownership relationship between man and woman, which is very unfair and unjust, but still the data set inherently had this. So that was a societal assumption, an inherent societal assumption those days, which uh, which affected very badly. So that's another view, data collectors view and the view of the data sources. So assumptions are encoded in data collectors part and data source part. Now let's go into the model part. A model is designed with some assumptions in mind. Anyone heard of inductive bias? Inductive bias is the generalization rules that you add into the model. If you say that you generalize uh, something according to the probability distribution, that's an inductive bias. If I say that generalize something according to my data's distribution, that's a bias. So if I show it a societal assumption, it will work according to that. So this was a very generic examples, but in many AI, it has some bias. For example, for image processing AI, it has a bias that it will easily identify when image is shifted, but it will not identify when the image is rotated. Those are called inductive biases. Some assumptions the AI is used to generalize. So societal assumptions will also come into the picture without even we knowing it. Subconsciously, these assumptions are coming into play. Now, as researchers, what we should do is we should explore and dive deeper and find these assumptions. That's the interesting part. Yeah, I'm going to share the slides. Yes. There was one question. Please suggest some authentic AI tools. Okay. One authentic AI tool for searching research papers is Perplexity. Perplexity uses uh, many AI tools together, ChatGPT, Gemini, everyone together. And this is the AI tool which is recommended. And I'm telling you with my experience for searching research with authentic research citations. Perplexity is the best. If you need to summarize something, if you need to learn something, then I would recommend Notebook LM. This is by Google. You can take many good advantages by using Notebook LM for in the free version. In the Notebook LM, what you can do is you find your resources, trustworthy resources from Perplexity, and upload it to Notebook LM. Notebook LM will provide you a very detailed explanation. It will automatically generate a video. It will automatically generate a set of slides. It will automatically generate mind maps. It will automatically answer questions and even generates the questions that you should ask. And Notebook LM is a very trustworthy system where the hallucinations, the wrong answers is minimized. It will not answer out of the context. Its answers will be totally based on what you upload. So Perplexity for document collection and Notebook LM for document understanding. This is what I suggest for researchers. Yeah. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate your engagement. Oh, there's one. These algorithm bias need regulation based on feeding a database. Yes, yes, you are correct. It needs regulation based on feeding our data. So, and the research question is how we need regulation, but what is the regulation? So that's the interesting part. And this regulation depends on your domain, the question you are solving. That's why the researchers always have work to do. It's another question. If you chose any AI platform for analyzing behavioral biases of human decision making in investment, is it AI biases also occur in this case and can impact it? Platform for analyzing behavioral biases, human decision making. Okay, it's a chicken and egg problem. If you develop an AI to predict the biases, and the AI which is predicting biases, can it be biased? It's a chicken and egg problem. And yes, I will simply put this: any AI can be biased, and biases are always go unseen. Someone needs to dig it up and show, or else there will be a natural disaster. Then only you will start looking into it. So my recommendation is, yeah, start reading, start using Perplexity. ChatGPT also, like, very good. If you know the correct queries, correct prompts, you can easily collect many new knowledge. Perplexity is very good. So start your research journey now. I'm always there. You can contact me. I'm ready to collaborate. So thank you so much, everyone, Blue Ocean, uh, and everyone for joining. I hope don't have more questions. Okay, over to you, Blue Ocean.
Well, first of all, I would like to sincerely thank our resource person, Dr. Dilipa Fernando, for such an insightful and enriching session. Your perspectives have deepened our understanding of artificial intelligence and its relevance to marginalized communities. And as we conclude, I invite all of you to see yourselves not just as participants, but as potential contributors to the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice. And we encourage you to transform today's insights into meaningful research that promotes inclusion and social justice. And finally, thank you all for your active participation, and we look forward to your continued engagement in future sessions. Thank you very much.